Surprise, estudiantes! It's yours truly, Senorita Marsh, and we are going to talk about the preterite and the imperfect. So we're going to continue that conversation that we started in class today. But first what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through just a quick review of the conjugations of the preterite tense and then the imperfect tense, and then we'll talk about when to use each of them. Okay? So, here we go. So first of all, we've got our regular preterite verbs. So I want you to go ahead and complete those charts on your notes. We've got our AR verbs, and then we've got our ER and IR verbs. And then, after you get those written down, I would like for you to do those 3 practice problems. El transformar, vosotros perder, and yo vivir. So go ahead and conjugate those 3 verbs in the preterite tense. I'll wait. Let's see how you did. And at any point through the notes today, you're probably going to need to hit pause so you can make sure that you get all of your answers down. So, el transformar would be transformó, vosotros perder would be perdisteis, and yo vivir would be viví. Alright, with an accent. So, those are your regular verbs. Continuing right on. And then we talked about our 5 irregulars. So I want you to list them on your notes. On the PowerPoint, have added all of those conjugation charts. So if you feel like you still need some work on these, then I would highly recommend that you take some time to review. Remember, your final's coming up just around the corner, and it's up to you to make sure that you're prepared. So if any of these you feel like you need to review, now would be a good time to start to review those conjugations. Okay, back on track, our 5 irregulars. First of all, remember, ir and ser both have the same conjugations. Fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fuisteis, fueron. And then our verb hacer. Remember, hacer in the la and usted form changes from a c to a z to keep the same sound. And then our other 2, dar and ver. Remember, these are the same because they have the same endings, just the first different letter. Okay, so then on your notes, I would like for you to tell me what is you gave, they did, and we went. So go ahead and hit pause and do those 3 practice problems, please. Let's see how you did. You gave, diste, they did, hicieron, and we went, fuimos. Alright, so those are our 5 irregular preterite verbs. And then we're going to go on to stem changers. Okay, now remember there are 4 kind of stem changer rules in the preterite tense. So I'm going to have you write those rules down. First of all, it must be a stem changer in the present tense. Only IR verbs stem change in the preterite. That spelling change only occurs in the el, ella, en usted, and ellos, ellas, en ustedes conjugations. Remember our flip-flop. And then our 4th one, remember that we only have 2 types of stem changers in the preterite tense, O to U and E to I. Okay? So here are our 3 practice problems. She died, I preferred, and they competed. Now I'm giving you these verbs on your notes, so if you don't know what they are in Spanish, there you have them. But it's really up to you guys to start. You should know that morir means to die, preferir means to prefer, and competir means to compete. So go ahead and hit pause and write down those conjugations. Okay, let's see how you did. She died, murió. We have a stem change because we're in the la and usted form. No stem change in yo preferí because we're not in the la and usted form. And ellos compitieron would indeed have a stem change because we are in the ellos, ellas, and ustedes conjugation. Now remember, competir is an E to I stem changer in the present tense, therefore it's going to be an E to I stem changer in the preterite as well. Despite the fact that it has an O in it, that doesn't really matter because it's not an O to UE stem changer in the present tense. Likewise, with number 2, I preferred, yo preferí. If we were to have a stem change there, then it would stem change in that second E. So don't forget that it's the second one, that's second vowel that's going to have that stem change. Alright, we're just booking right along. Alright, funky stems. Remember, so far we've got 5 funky stem verbs. I want you to list them and write their stem as well as their ending. So make sure at any point if you need to hit pause, make sure you're doing so. So you got that. And then here's your practice. You all formal had, they put, and I could. Hit pause and see how you do. Alright, here we go. You all formal had, tuvieron, they put, pusieron, and I could, pude. Alright, so that's all we have for our preterite verbs and their conjugation. So now we're going to flip over to the imperfect, which should be a little bit easier because this is fresher in your little cabeza. Alright, so go ahead and fill out the regular conjugation charts. Remember, AR verbs have the accent in the nosotros form, and then our ER and IR verbs have accents in all of those forms. Alright, and then here's your practice with the regulars. Rico y Pablo used to fight, she was crying, and they used to live. Go ahead and hit pause if you need to. Peleaban, lloraba, and número 3, vivían. Alright, and then remember, the imperfect is super easy because it only has 3 irregulars, and that's it. So, I want you to list them. Remember, on your notes, I just give you the verbs. So, iba, ibas, iba, that's going to be our verb ir. Era, eras, era is going to be our verb ser. And veía, veías, and veía is going to be our verb ver. So make sure you get those down. And then here's your 3 practice problems. He used to go, it used to be, and we were seeing. Okay? Alright, now you're going to flip your notes over, and we're going to talk about more about the usage of our preterite and our imperfect. Oh, but first we have to check our answers. Embarrassing. He used to go would be iba, it used to be would be era, and we were seeing would be veíamos. Alright, now you can flip over your notes. And we're going to talk about kind of those general ideas as when to use which. Alright, so here you go. I want you to think about a stop sign when we're using the preterite tense. Alright, so go ahead and draw a picture of a stop sign in that little box in your on your notes. And then here's the general idea of the preterite. We use it if an action started and ended at a definite time. Got it? So started and ended at a definite time. Under that general idea, first of all, that's going to be like the ED in English. We danced. In English, we've got a lot of irregulars in the preterite tense. We don't say we run-did, we say we ran. We don't say we sing-did, we sang. So in English, we've got a lot of irregulars, and our simple past is what we call it. So keep that in mind. And then we also use the preterite if it's a specific or main event. And I think that definition will make a little bit more sense as we go through our notes here in a little bit. Okay? Here are some examples of when to use the preterite. Yo corrí ayer is a completed action. We know when it started and ended. So I ran yesterday, done, boom, alright. And my headband's getting ready to fall off. So I'm just going to take it off. Los guerreros pelearon en la batalla durante la guerra en 500 AD. So that was a main event. So the warriors fought, and notice there's a typo, and fought, but I'm just going to keep going with it, in the battle during the war of 500 AD. Alright, and then finally, anoche nosotros nos dormimos a las 10. So that's a specific action. We fell asleep at 10. So that tells us exactly what time we fell asleep. Alright, so that's the idea of the preterite tense. So now we're going to move to the imperfect. And I've kind of talked about this in some of my classes a little bit. Is I want you to think about a bouncing ball when we're talking about the imperfect tense, okay? And here's the general idea. We use it to talk about a past action without saying when it began or ended. So we're talking more about generalities in the past. And there are several examples that we use. So make sure that you fill out your notes completely. Alright, we use age when we're talking about, in the past when we're talking about age, we use the verb tener. When we talk about time, we're going to use our verb ser. When we're talking about descriptions of people or situations, we're going to use the imperfect tense. Remember that wasing idea, or we used to. And then if we're talking about the date and the weather, we're going to use the imperfect tense as well. So, make sure you get those notes down, and here are some examples. Yo tenía 20 años. Ella era tímida, so that's a description. And then nosotros peleábamos. We used to fight when we were younger. So those are some examples of when to use the imperfect. Okay. Last thing we're going to talk about with our notes today, we can use a preterite and an imperfect in the same sentence. Okay. So when we have this called this idea of overlapping actions. And here, I think the best way is to think about some examples. So we've got, let's back up here. All right. So we've got an ongoing action, and then something interrupts it. And so we've got a specific or sudden event. Here are some examples which I think will help out. I was doing my homework when the phone rang. Hacía mi tarea cuando el teléfono sonó. Okay? So something going on, boom, and then something else happened that interrupted that. Here's another example. When the war ended, Santa Ana was, that should be was the president. What? Yeah, she was president. Okay, there we go. Got it. So cuando la guerra terminó, Santa Ana era presidente. All right. So make sure you change that little English there on your notes. It is helpful if you write those examples down so you get to see what your notes look like. But anyway, so the ongoing action, that's going to be your imperfect tense, as you can see in the examples. And notice that doesn't necessarily have to come at the beginning of the sentence or at the end of the sentence, but your specific event is then going to be the preterite tense, so something that interrupts it. But it's done, it's over with. Okay? Please make sure that you write down any questions that you have on these notes and come to class, and we will get this preterite and imperfect stuff all figured out. All right? Thanks, guys. Oh, here's a little secret, okay? I've heard that there are lots of students that aren't doing their notes with audio. It's very important that you do so. So what I want you to do, and this is going to be a little secret, is I want you to put a star on the upper left-hand corner on the first page of your notes. But don't tell anyone. If someone copies your notes, be like, oh, I was just doodling, okay? So I can see how many people really are watching the notes with audio, okay? See you guys.